Greetings and welcome to week 7 of my pilgrimage here in the Holy Land. I hope that you're doing very well. Someone was messaging me recently and they were like, "Are you tired of being in the Holy Land yet?" And I was like, no, I am not tired. There's just so much to do here, and it is a real blessing and a privilege for me to be here this long. Anyone who asks me, who I meet traveling here, how long I'm here, they're all like, whoa. They're like, that you're so blessed to be able to be here for so long. And I know I am, and it's a huge blessing. That's another reason I'm very happy to be sharing these graces with others, so you can partake in them as well. So where I am now, this is the first video actually that, if you're watching these on the YouTube, that you've seen me in Nazareth. So welcome to Nazareth. I'm so happy to be in Nazareth. So I've already been in Nazareth for 1 week. I arrived about a week ago. If you're again watching the videos I'm posting kind of in real time on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, I'm still posting Bethlehem content. There was so much to post, and I don't want to put a lot out at once, and it also takes time to do it. So I'm slowly finishing off my time in Bethlehem, and I will start my Nazareth content. It's kind of a blessing too, because there's not a lot to do, which I'll explain later in Nazareth, like to make into a video. So it kind of is a blessing that I have this Bethlehem content to put up while I'm here. Anyway, I'll explain kind of just my travels leaving Bethlehem and arriving here in Nazareth. So my last night in Bethlehem, my time in Bethlehem, I think I mentioned this in the other video. It was a huge blessing. I had a great time. This is probably my last video anyway, but I stayed with a family at a family-run hostel. And it was a really beautiful experience because I got to just be more in with the people than staying at kind of like a hostel where it's more of like a business feel. You probably understand how that makes sense. So on my last night in Bethlehem, the son of the family I was staying with took me and another girl who was staying there at the hostel out, and we just got a really nice treat. I think it's called kanafi. I hope I'm saying that right. It's like a pancake almost with cheese in the middle and sweet. It's really, really good. So, and as we were driving along, we were singing "O Little Town of Bethlehem" in the car, and it was just such a beautiful experience. Yeah, it makes me almost want to cry. My last memory of being there in Bethlehem. It was so beautiful. And so that evening though, before I left as well, I went to a church service that they had in their house there at the hostel I was staying. They have it weekly. And it was beautiful again, just to see the prayers being said in Arabic. Yes, which was close to the language Jesus spoke. So Jesus spoke Aramaic, and they're both Semitic languages. And yeah, it was just really, really nice to be able to participate in that. And I met a man there who was also staying at the hostel, who was also traveling to Nazareth the next day when I was traveling. So we said, well, let's travel together. And I just love being able to kind of travel to a new location with somebody else, even though I can do it on my own. But it's just so nice to have someone with you, to be kind of figuring things out together. So I was just so blessed to be able to have him to go with. And it ends up, we just really hit it off. Just a beautiful, beautiful man. So we had just a lovely, lovely time traveling together and catching our buses and everything, and it went really smooth. We left Bethlehem, we went to Jerusalem, to the bus station there, and then so that was maybe, I don't know, we walked out of Bethlehem, so maybe an hour journey, and then we took a bus, and I'm so happy we got one bus, because sometimes you have to transfer buses. So we got one bus that went from Jerusalem, the Jerusalem bus station, all the way to Nazareth. I think it was maybe, was it an hour and 40 minutes? I hope I'm getting that correctly. So we arrived in Nazareth. He was leaving like the next day, I think, to carry on his journeys, but it was just nice to have a companion as I was traveling. So whoa, good thing I'm looking at my notes. I forgot to mention that before we left Bethlehem, we went to Mass, Holy Mass, down in the grotto where Christ was born, and there was just like a few of us there. So maybe 5 or 6, and it was again just really beautiful. I couldn't stop weeping there, just feeling the graces during that Mass and being there where Christ was born with just like a few people made it really intimate and really beautiful, and a wonderful like send off as I headed to Nazareth. So yeah, I have been in Nazareth for a week and I really love it here. I'm staying here for 3 weeks altogether, and when people hear that, they're kind of like, 3 weeks in Nazareth, because it's true, there's not a lot like to kind of see biblically. Like you see the spots. You could probably visit them over a course of a few days. And I kind of wondered too, when I was planning this itinerary, why I felt inspired to stay here for that long. But I am really glad I did, because it is the hometown of Christ. So like Jesus, I don't know how old he was, a child, and he grew up here, spent his teenage years here, his 20s here. And I honestly can feel that. It may sound strange, but I really can feel that Christ was here for a long time. Like, just in my head, in my heart, in my soul, like every part of me, like there's something really special about being here. Really. And I absolutely love it. Like, I've loved every part of my trip. There's been something special, but I really love it here. Like, it's like Jesus's hometown where he grew up. And so for me, just even being here, like just being in my hostel room, which I am right now, that's enough. Like, I don't really have to be doing anything, just being here in Nazareth. But there has been things I have been doing, but I have been taking it a little bit more relaxed. Like, there was one day where I had some planning to do, where I spent like the whole day pretty much in my hostel, and sometimes I'll just go out in the morning and come back in the afternoon. So it has been a bit of more of a relaxed feel, which is good. Because if you remember, I'm just remembering it now, in Jerusalem, I kind of was like go, 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 and I kind of crashed for a few days. Bethlehem, I was going a lot, but I don't think as fast paced. And then here it's the slower pace. So yeah, I am happy to have this time. And I've been meeting amazing people. Yeah, it's been a blessing. So back to the notes. When I first arrived, if you know me, I go out and I get grocery food, and that's the food I eat. Like, I don't eat at restaurants. Rarely I do, if I'm going out with somebody or something like that, but very rarely. And which makes it very affordable for me. So I found a grocery store. I look on the internet to see if there's a grocery store that has like good prices. And I found one that has like bulk food, and it ended up being great prices. It was a 40-minute walk, which is better than my first time in Jerusalem. It was like an hour walk. So a 40-minute walk. And it's just nice to be able to like see the town, like walk out of the kind of central main old city area that I'm in and just walk out. So I walked there, like maybe the second day I arrived, and I have a neat experience when walking back. So I had my groceries and I was walking, and I was just picturing Jesus as a boy, like maybe 7 or 8, running along these streets, and just thinking, because he would have been doing that. I'm right in the area where his house was. So I was just imagining that, and then I kept on walking, and I kind of forgot that I was thinking that. And then a group of children came up to me, And there was maybe like 10 of them, mostly little boys around like maybe 10 years old, 9, 10. And there was a little girl and then an older girl. She was the oldest of the group. She was maybe like 13. And the little boys didn't speak English very well at all. And the older girl did. She struggled a bit, but she could. So at first they were kind of like, I could tell they were kind of joking with me, you know, kind of like just having a little fun amongst themselves, like not meanly, but just like little boys would. And then they got like more serious and they're asking like where I was from. And then they got like interested. They're like, what soccer team do you like? And they started mentioning like team countries all over the world. And then I just really connected with these boys. It was just a beautiful experience, and they were happy to like walk me to my hostel as we were walking along. And then when we got to the door, one of the boys is like, I love Canada, because he was talking, I told him I was from Canada. And then another little boy was like, I love you. And he genuinely meant it. Like I could sense just out of his pure little heart. And I came afterwards, I started reflecting on how just moments before I met them, I was thinking about Jesus as a boy. And then these boys that Jesus probably looked like came up to me. And I thought, what a blessing from God to be able to have that little experience, almost like little Jesus telling me he loves me, Yeah, it was just beautiful, and I love kids. Like I love all people, but I like kids and I like interacting with them. So it was just a really special little blessing of my first experience here, welcomed by the children to Nazareth. All right. So, So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about, I was mentioning that there are like the holy sites to see here. So I am staying in the old city of Nazareth, which is kind of a similar feel to the old city of Jerusalem. And around here, close by to where I am, is called the Basilica of the Annunciation. And that's where it's believed Mary's house was, where the angel Gabriel told Mary that she's going to conceive a child and to name him Jesus. So Jesus would have came into the womb of Mary in that location. So they have a beautiful, beautiful basilica there. And it has different levels. So a big upper church, and then the grotto is where that house is. And actually it's interesting because they believe that it's a cave there, like it looks like a cave. And then the outside house part, if you know the story, they believe was transported by angels, like miraculously, to Italy to preserve it so the house wouldn't have been destroyed throughout the centuries. So that's called the House of Loreto, and that's in Italy. And I had the privilege of visiting it, a beautiful, beautiful house on the east side of Italy. So that's what they believe, that house. But then the house, like the three walls, would have been connected to the cave. So the cave part is what is here in Nazareth, and then the house is in Italy. And so yeah, that's the cave part down in the grotto area. And you can walk by, you can get really close to it, but you can't like go right inside it. And I was blessed to be able to have Holy Mass, to participate in Holy Mass like twice, once or twice in the grotto there. Beautiful location. And on the same kind of complex, they have St. Joseph's Church, which is believed to be built over where St. Joseph's carpenter shop would have been. That's in the same area. Some think that St. Joseph's carpenter shop could have been where like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the family, lived. But then there's another proposal of where their house is. And it's just like a 2-minute walk, 3-minute walk from where that complex is up the road. And it's called the Church of the Nutrition. And that's another possible location where Jesus, Mary, and Joseph lived, where their house is. I lean more towards that one. When the tour, I was given a tour, it's less accessible than the other one. You have to like sign up for a tour. The other one, you can kind of just walk in anytime. But the Church of the Nutrition, the one with the tour, they stumbled upon it. They built like a convent over top of where it was, and they were doing some work, and they found the ruins below the convent, and they found the ruins of like, I think, 2 kind of different churches throughout the centuries built on that spot. So they know for sure that it was like a holy Christian location that people revered throughout the centuries. And there was also, I think they found like a bishop buried there, and there's like archaeological evidence that this was a house from the 1st century. So it was really special being there. I leaned more towards that was the location. And they have like a tomb even below where they think, and it said on it, they found the writing, the tomb of the just man. So they think that could have been St. Joseph's tomb. So I loved it there. I really loved it there. It was with a tour. So again, with a tour, it's so fast, like in and out. And I would have just loved to stay there. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can go back and just stay and pray there. You know, I was able to pray for a bit, but I'd love to pray for longer there. But I did find that across the road from where that church is, they have another convent of sisters. They have like a complex there. I'm not sure what they do, but they have like adoration in that church. So it's open like throughout the whole day. So that was another huge blessing for me, because it's like 25 meters from the Church of the Nutrition where you can pray in adoration. And so being there is so special, because I'm with God, praying with Jesus, close to his house, the Holy Family's house. So I just absolutely love going and praying there. It's a huge blessing, and I feel like I'm just really close to their house praying. So, okay, that's that. There's also a well called the Virgin Mary's Well, I think, or the Virgin's Well, Mary's Well. Yikes. There's been a few of them I've encountered along the way here. And so it is where they believe that people came back centuries ago, and they had throughout the centuries to get the water, because there's a natural spring here, fresh water in Nazareth, and that leads to that well. So that well could have been where the Holy Family was, probably where the Holy Family came and got their water. It doesn't have water flowing from it now, but I think it did for a long time. The water originates from the pool of fresh water. There's a church, a Greek Orthodox church, built over it, right close to where the well is. It's built over where the water comes from to get to that well. That's another kind of central area here in the town. And they have another thing called the Synagogue Church. And the Synagogue Church is where they believe it's built over where the synagogue would have been during the time of Jesus here. So it has, anyway, I was gonna say, so Jesus would have went to that synagogue often, when he reached boyhood. I think it's maybe 12, all the way through his growing into adult years. And it's where that famous story happened where he read from the prophet Isaiah, and he said, this scripture is fulfilled today, like saying he was the Messiah. And the people were angry, and they took him, and they were gonna throw him off a cliff, but he ended up walking through the crowd. And I found out from here, the people visiting here, like the tourists also visiting, pilgrims, that you can go visit that hill. So I went to visit that hill. It's called Mount Precipice. And it's very like a steep hill, mountain. And you can see beautiful, beautiful view of Nazareth, of the Israel Valley. And then you can also see Mount Tabor, where they believe the transfiguration happened. Jesus' garments turned like white as snow, and Moses and Elijah appeared to him. The Father said, this is my son who I'm well pleased, listen to him. So you can see that mountain where they believe that happened, Mount Tabor, and just lovely. It was very beautiful and prayerful up on Mount Precipice. I had a really beautiful prayer experience with the Lord when I was up there. So I think that's kind of all I'm thinking of right now. yeah, in regards to like things to kind of see in Nazareth. So as you can see, there isn't like, it isn't compared to Jerusalem, there isn't as much. But for me, as I said before, it's just being here that's really special. I went to the Nazareth village today, which they reconstructed what Nazareth would have looked like at the time of Jesus. So they have like people dressed up, you know, kind of like a pioneer village concept. And they had a real wine press in the rock where people would have made wine, like stepped on the grapes with their feet, it would have run down. They have a replica of what a first century synagogue would have looked like and other things too. So it was a really beautiful experience to be able to see that and imagine like what Nazareth would have looked like at the time of Jesus. So I do have, I'm here for like 2 more weeks, I think. Yeah. So I have a lot of time. I think it will be kind of more of a prayerful time just here in Nazareth, which I'm really excited about. It's nice. Yeah, it is nice to see these holy sites, but it's nice just to spend time in prayer. And I'm just really looking forward to continuing to like meditate and think about what it would have been like for Jesus growing up and living here. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be here. And I hope that just gives you a little introduction. We'll see what I have to share next week. Who knows? God knows. So take care. Thank you for listening. And I wish you all the best. Sending love from Nazareth.